Hey everybody, how much do you know and understand about long-term care and long-term care insurance? What is long-term care? How much does it cost? How does long-term care insurance work? Do I need it? Long-term care involves a variety of services designed to meet the needs of those who need assistance performing at least two out of six of the activities of daily living. These six activities are bathing, dressing, feeding, grooming, toileting, and transferring. A person may qualify for long term care when they need assistance with at least two of those activities. So, long term care may be provided in a facility, such as an assisted living facility or a nursing home, or LTC may be provided in home by a visiting nurse, a home health aide, or a family caregiver. Statistically, 70% of people age 65 or older will require some level of long term care. However, it's not exclusive to this group. 37%, that's more than 1 out of 3 people receiving long term care, are under the age of 65. In 2019, which was a long time ago, I know, but was the most recent statistic I could find, there were 38,609 people in the US between the ages of 0 and 49 that required a long stay in a nursing home. Of those, 1,595 were younger than 20 years old. Yes, that's a small percentage, but it is an unfortunate reality. How much does long term care cost? Well, it varies based on the level of care required and where you live. But here are some costs on a national level. In 2023, the median monthly cost in the US for in home care was about $6,000 a month. That's $72,000 a year. About 73% of all long term care is provided in home by caregivers who receive no pay. That's according to a report called Care Provided by Family or Others at Home by Thomas Day and the National Care Planning Council. In 2023, the median monthly cost in the US for assisted living was about $5,350 per month, or $64,200 a year, with an average stay of between 1 and 3 years. That cost in a nursing home, where the average stay is 835 days, or just over 2 years, according to the National Care Planning Council, a semi-private room costs $8,669 per month, or $104,028 per year. A private room costs $9,733 per month, or $116,796 per year. It's not uncommon for someone to begin receiving care in home and then later move on to an assisted living facility, and even later then into a nursing home. The Family Caregiver Alliance reported in 2015 that, quote, 66% of older people with disabilities who receive long-term services and support at home get all of their care exclusively from their family caregiver, mostly wives and daughters. All right, enough statistics. Let's bring this home. No doubt most, if not all of you, know someone who has required some level of help with daily tasks, or someone who's a family caregiver to a loved one. Some of the common reasons are stroke, cancer, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. These usually require long-term or permanent care. But there may also be temporary needs due to situations such as injuries from falls or accidents, or recovery after surgery. Most families do not have an extra $50,000 to $300,000 just laying around waiting to be used in a situation like this. So how do they pay for it? Well, compounding the problem, if 2 out of 3 people are being helped exclusively by a family caregiver, it's likely that the caregiver has had to take leave, or a leave of absence, family medical leave, from work, and possibly even quit their job in order to care for their loved ones. Many families find it necessary to take out loans, second mortgages. They max out their credit cards at 20% interest, or beg for help from family and friends to cover the costs of LTC. This can be devastating to the family, not just financially and emotionally, but also to relationships. Is there a better option? Yes, thankfully, there are options when it comes to long-term care. The most common option is LTC insurance. This insurance can come in the form of a standalone LTC policy. The insured would need to undergo an underwriting process, and the cost of the policy will depend heavily on the insurer's age and medical history. It's very possible that an older applicant with negative medical events in their record may not be able to afford a policy and possibly could not qualify at all. There are some people who advise not purchasing long-term care insurance until one's 65th birthday. While statistically this is when it becomes more likely that one will have a need, there's an increased risk that by the age of 65, one will not be able to afford a policy due to higher premiums or not qualify at all. Let me take a minute and help you understand what insurance is. Now, this is not to insult your intelligence, but to break it down to a core level. All insurance, whether it's life, health, car, homeowners or renters, or any other type of insurance, is a transfer of risk. Without insurance, you bear the risk for anything that goes wrong. The insurance company makes a deal with you to take over that risk in exchange for your monthly premium for a designated period of time. For a car insurance policy, this is usually 6 months. For a homeowner's or renter's policy, it may be 1 year. For a life insurance policy, it may be 5, 10, 20 years or longer. The insurance company will determine how much your premium will be based on the amount of risk they are taking on. In some cases, if they determine the risk is high, they will charge more. However, if the risk is too high, they'll decline the application altogether. With this information, when is the best time to get a life or long-term care insurance policy? When you're older and possibly have adverse medical conditions, or when you're younger and healthier? Of course, when you're younger and healthier. Even a healthy 50-year-old will generally pay more than a healthy 30-year-old, since age alone is one factor affecting the cost of insurance. Are there other ways of obtaining long-term care insurance? Great question. Yes, there are. There are certain life insurance policies that allow you to add LTC as a rider on the policy. A rider is coverage added to a policy, usually at an additional cost, such as glass coverage on an auto policy. An LTC rider on a life policy can be much cheaper than purchasing a standalone LTC policy. So how does LTC insurance work? Glad you asked. Typically, once the insured qualifies for long-term services and support, they will begin receiving payments according to the terms of their policy. These terms will dictate the frequency and amount of the payments and how long they will last. If the LTC policy is a rider inside of a life insurance policy, again, according to the terms of the policy contract, a percentage of the death benefit can be paid out monthly to offset the cost of LTC. The percentage can range from 1 to 4%, but is commonly about 2%. So, if the insured has a $100,000 death benefit and the LTC rider pays 2%, they could receive $2,000 per month. While this may not cover all expenses, it would sure help. And think about this. That benefit, in most cases, can even be used to pay a family caregiver. I know, right? Finally, do you need long-term care insurance? Well, that depends on a number of factors, and just because you need it does not mean that you can afford it. Do not let anyone sell you something that you do not need and or cannot afford. So here are some things to consider. Am I at risk of health issues that could require long-term care? Is there a family history of serious medical issues such as cancer, heart disease, or Alzheimer's? If I do develop a temporary or permanent need for long-term care, can I afford to pay the costs on my own? Do I want to protect my family and my assets in the event I develop a need for long-term care? Protection is the first level of a proper financial foundation. Without a proper foundation, everything you have built could come crashing down. Let's sit down together and do an in-depth analysis of your personal needs. None of this is a one-size-fits-all solution. I have the tools and experience to guide you through a review process that encompasses your entire situation. Have a great rest of your day.